Lights out.
Half an hour of racing underway.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of ACC Career Mode's mini endurance series. I'm your main commentator for tonight, Derg, driver number 87 for Shawker Blue Shark E Racing, and you're going to be joining me tonight in the commentary box as we watch some of our fastest drivers of many different skill levels, tackle the fierce Mount Panorama circuit in Australia, as they climb up and down under to tackle this fearsome track. It is, while it's not one of the longest by distance tracks in this game, it is one of the longest in terms of the amount of time it takes to lap the track. I think second only to Spa and Suzuka. I'd say it's even on par with Suzuka at some points. The track itself is very, very fearsome, very challenging. We've got more drivers pouring in now as we are reaching the end of practice and the start of qualifying, so this gives us the perfect time to talk about career mode, which will be coming on the 1st of October, but if you sign up for the ACM Patreon, you can get early access and get a jump on all of the other drivers. Build your performance, fight against drivers of your skill level, fight against lots of different drivers, make your own team, pick your sponsors, build up some money, buy new cars. There's a lot going on in career mode. Harry can tell you more about it. I'm just the messenger, so I might get some things wrong. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But trust me when I say that career mode is the biggest thing I've ever seen any sim racing league do. It's a very ambitious project, and I'm looking forward to see people take part in this project, because it is something that is very incredible. And just allow me a moment, I've realised that I've got my map on wrong, so apologies for that. Right then. Okay, it's been a while. Please let me know in the chat if I'm too loud, game's too quiet. Like, just let me know what's going on so I can get everything right. I want to make sure that this stream is going well. We will probably need the oh, no, we had the title change. Thank you, Harry, for doing that. So oh, we've got 10 minutes of qualifying. I thought we had 20. Yes, Darkness, I'm very aware that you're scared, but this is Bathurst, and sometimes you've just got to do it scared. That is the best way of tackling this track, and with, I mean, we've got 14 drivers on track right now. I'm not sure about how many are going to be joining in the future. Darkness, I'm very aware that you're scared, but this is Bathurst, and sometimes you've just got to do it scared. That is the best way of tackling this track, and with, I mean, okay, right. I have confirmed now that I have confirmed that the audio is all fine. So we're all good. Everything is golden. So Mount Panorama is one of the sketchiest tracks. I can see Mark going into the wall here. This is exactly why I didn't want to race, but I thought it'd be a right good laugh to commentate all the chaos that is bound to unfold. It requires utter commitment and dedication, because there is just so much elevation change through a lot of these corners. You are having to be like constantly alternating between the brake and throttle, especially through that twisty downhill section of the mountain. It is you kind of have to get into a rhythm as you roll the car down the hill. And where our drivers only having 10 minutes to qualify, it really does put a lot of pressure on the drivers to set a really decent lap quite quickly. Drivers up and down the grid are going to be competing to see where they can put themselves on one track that I would argue is probably one of the most difficult tracks on ACC. I would argue it's easily in the top 5 hardest tracks to learn in ACC, because it's a lot about commitment. Last time I raced here was multi-class, where the fastest drivers were in the M2s and the slowest drivers, i.e. myself, were in the GT3s, so it made it very, very tricky to navigate, especially if you caught up with traffic in the mountain section, because you just could not get past. Unless both you and the driver you're trying to overtake have complete trust in each other, you're not going to be looking for any overtakes there, as we're already about a quarter of the way into the session. Some of these drivers are on valid laps, where there are a few that are still in the pit lane. With only 14 drivers on the grid, I don't blame them. It is a very tricky track, but all the drivers here will get a decent haul of points. They'll have a big advantage on the other drivers who maybe couldn't make it today, or just were too scared to tackle the mountain. The map might also be slightly wrong, because it might show some drivers as being blue flagged. That is a glitch in ACC, unfortunately, and it is just something that we're going to have to work around. Mark, again, getting incredibly close to the walls. That is the biggest thing. You've kind of just got to pretend it's just a regular track, and just pretend the walls aren't there. From my experience trying to learn to ride a motorbike before I nearly broke both of my ankles, wherever you look is where you're going to go. So you've really just got to focus on the road, on the track. Because if you're worried about the walls, you're going to look at the walls. And if you're looking at the walls, you're more likely to hit them. This section is the most difficult section, I would say, of any track, but it is so rewarding when you get it right. Breaking a straight line, hugging that inside, powering out on the exit, using all of that space. And he's even got Ben Ely's brand new looking Lexus right behind him, also on a really good lap. This back straight is so satisfying to do. This flat out corner, the chase, is incredibly satisfying to get right. You use all the space on the left hand side to fly down on that flat out right hander, braking hard, coming in the last couple of corners now out of the kind of chicane. You're going to run towards the final 90-degree left-hand corner, braking around the 100 board, trailing the car in, getting that curb on the apex, powering out, and this puts Mark Mass at a 2 minutes 5.1. Userby goes into P1 with a 202.2, and Ely in third. Kelly slots himself into fourth place. What can Clark do in this in the Dimension Motorsports McLaren, which has a very interesting livery, one that I've never actually seen before? Where can he slot himself? Seemingly nowhere, because I think that was an outlap. Never mind. Lots of other drivers on, I believe, valid laps. We've got Adrian Hanovic driving for Team Shumi Skins, who I will say arguably have the nicest liveries on the grid. I'm a big fan of this Ferrari painted in red with that dragon all over it. Oh, and he goes off. Hanovic is off into the grass. That is probably not going to be very good for his lap time. We have had someone drop off. I think that was Darkness, who's maybe just decided to call it a day. It's a very tricky track to get right, and especially if you're really trying to push flat out, it's one of those tracks that's really, really quite punishing. Because you really don't have small crashes here at Bathurst. Harry might be joining me later in the commentary box. Hanovic sets a 202.7, but it was invalid. I'm looking currently at the timing sheets to see who is setting a valid lap. Looks like Goswell. Oh no, actually, Jemiel's slotted themselves up into P6. Let's actually have a look at Kelly for in the number 91 RSR Ferrari. Currently about a quarter of a second up on their best time. If they can nail this last corner, they're a little bit squarely on the exit, but that gets them enough of an improvement to slot them up into P4. I have just had a big lag. I don't know what that was. I think, okay, no, Darkness rejoined. That's what that was. They are now back in their goofy chicanes, number 724 BMW. I would argue this is an incredibly difficult track to drive, especially if you are in something like the BMW. First drive we're going to have a look at right now is Hanivic in the number 38 Schumi Skins Ferrari. Again, braking in a straight line, hugging the inside, and then powering out on the exit. You really just have to have absolutely no fear driving this car around the track. Is that an esports line that I'm not aware of, where you cut the inside completely and just ignore the fact that the grass is there, or is this something else? I think we've just had another driver drop out, maybe for just a moment. There might be some connection issues going on with the server. Just keeping our eye out. Yeah, no, Hanivic has did invalidate on that corner, and with about a 1.3 second improvement, you know, this would have been very, very good for them, because this would have put them on pole position, but unfortunately, it's not time for them. But it's time for Harry to slot himself up into P1, beating Usaby by just over 0.3 of a second. Previously, he's claimed he's not good in anything that is a GT3 car, but he's proven himself wrong, at least for now. Going to look at other drivers who are on a decent improvement. Clark in the number 51 Dimension Motorsports McLaren. They've made their way through the mountain section quite handily and are now working their way down the chase, flying at really, really quick speeds. If we can look at the driver view, that's not the one. Just see how much of the track you really need to use in the in these cars. Braking around the 100 board, trailing it in, down to second gear, on the throttle on the exit, keeps it nice and steady, gets a 2021. That's good enough for second place. As we're now going to look on board with Gemiol, who was very impressive last time around the Southern Sprint Sunday, who'd, I think, gotten themselves a podium. I might be wrong on that, but they are looking quite good. The Porsche is a very interesting choice for this track, with a very happy rear end. It makes it quite tricky to drive on the mountain section, but if you can trail the car in right, if you can be precise in your throttle inputs, you really can maximize the car through every corner. Again, hugging the inside of this final corner of the mountain section before blasting your way down the chase. They're not really improving on their time. A lot of other drivers not yet improving either. One driver who is improving is Adrian Hanivic, who is going into the pit lane. I don't know what their plan is. Are they doing a last to first challenge, or have they had some sort of hardware issue which has stopped them from properly completing their lap? This is a very, very weird sight to see, because normally you'd see Hanivic and Gilroy up near the top, but neither of them have been able to set, well, from what I can see here, neither of them are able to set a valid lap. And with Gilroy now leaving this section, I have been told he is treating this like a practice session for when he has a 12-hour race around Bathurst, which is a very ballsy move to say the least. Ely coming out of the final corner, not really improving, stays P6. One man who is improving is a man who's already camera is Usaby, who is currently on pole by about a tenth. They're improving even further by about 0.3 now, coming through the fastest part of the mountain section, fastest part of the downhill section of the mountain. Again, this corner is incredibly scary, because if you get your braking zone wrong, your car is gonna just slide off. If you get your line wrong, your car's gonna jump in the air, you're gonna have no grip, and you go right into that wall. And let me just tell you from first-hand experience, that is not a wall that you really want to be hitting. None of the walls around here are walls that you want to be hitting, but especially not that one. That's definitely one of the ones that you'd want to avoid. It'll cause the most damage to your car, definitely. Harry only about 0.5 tenth back from Usaby at the moment. Usaby is improving by about 0.3 of a second, coming through the final corner, losing a big heap of time, but gains it all back on the exit. That's about 0.4 of an improvement, and Usaby widens his gap to P2. That is a solid pole position for the front runner of Usaby. And I think Ely might have just invalidated and has not been not been able to make that work. So it's Usaby on pole, followed by Goswell in P2, Clark in P3, Regazzoni in 4th, who I now no longer see. He might be... the number 25 car. I forget that there are teams in this mini endurance. Again, I'm not aware of any of the team names, so I might have to do a little bit of research. I don't have a glossary here of all the team names, unfortunately. But tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go and have a look at each driver's livery. Delightful. Right. Okay. So first up, we have Usaby, who's starting in pole position in that red and white ACM. ACM Ferrari, looking delightful as always. It's an ACM front row lockout as I resets. Okay, well, hold on. I'll find a way of doing this properly. Again, I'm not exactly great at this whole broadcasting thing. Harry in P2 in the ACM Aston Martin. Okay, so it resets the view every time. Never mind. We're just not gonna do that. I wish there was a nicer way of doing it, but I'm not really aware if there is one. Clark in P3 with the Dimension Motorsport McLaren, the number 25 Big Brain Racing car, again with their iconic black and orange livery. Nikkonen in their Silent Killers 909 Ferrari, coloured like the Finnish flag, and hopefully they'll see the flag at the finish. Kelly in the Rocket Stallion Racing, number 91 Ferrari. Ely in their Lexus, coloured with their colours with the ACM sponsors covering it, starting P7, very respectable from the new Lexus driver. Jemiol starting in 8th, with their iconic purple livery. Gossel in P9 with the ACM McLaren. Mass starting in a very, very respectable P10 in the red and yellow ACM Ferrari. Darkness in the number 724 Goofy Chicanes BMW M4. Ericsson starts for the 912 Shumi Skins Porsche, and I don't know if I have their livery installed correctly. I think I do? I do not. Okay, so I think that is an issue with the livery not being uploaded properly. Hanivich is number 38, and the camera has just decided to just not work today for some reason. There we go. In that Shumi Skins Ferrari with the black dragon on. Gilroy, very similar livery, but the dragon is white on this one. I can't really decide which one I like more. I think I don't know. I like them both equally, but for different reasons. And I'm gonna absolutely butcher this last name, and I sincerely apologise. The number 92 Porsche. Also Team Shumi Skins. So it seems like all the Shumi Skins cars are starting at the back of the grid, and with the amount of pace that I know a lot of these drivers do actually have, they're probably going to be looking to make their way through the grid, which is going to be a very difficult task to do, because Mount Panorama, it's one of those tracks where it's incredibly difficult to get any overtakes done. Because there's basically no room for cars to go side by side unless you have complete and utter confidence in the other driver and complete trust. There are maybe a few moves that you could make through the mountain section. I am not brave enough to be able to do that. But to those who are, I salute you, because that is a lot more bravery than I think I will ever have. Um, it is a very, very difficult track to get right, and I think a lot of the drivers are just going to be thinking about survival out there, and that is the key to Bathurst. It's not about how fast you could be, because while pace might be one of the factors, it isn't the defining factor. Of course, you can still be fast. Doesn't mean that you will be finishing the race first. The walls here come at you with a vengeance, and they it's one of those tracks where if you don't respect it, it doesn't really respect you back. If there are going to be any incidents, they're probably not going to be small incidents, to say the least. It's one of those tracks where all the crashes and the drama of them is amplified by 10 times because of how tight the track is, how little space there is. So if there's a car that is parked at a 90-degree angle to the track, you know, it's gonna result in some carnage, and drivers will not be able to get past. Our drivers are lining up 2 by 2 now, as we're coming into the final round in the mini endurance series from ACM. The drivers are going to tackle 1 hour and 40 minutes of Bathurst as they cross the finish line, or they cross the start line, I should say. Waiting for that flag to drop. We go green here in Bathurst. As we go off to a good start, it looks like there's almost 3 wide up front. UZB gets through nice and clean. We're going to go to Helicam, see if there's any further action drama happening down the pack. UZB leading by a comfortable margin. Nikkonen alongside Regazzoni. Kelly looking to make a move. He's got 2 cars ahead of him. He's not really got much else to go, any space to go, giving Nikkonen a little bit of a bump draft coming into turn number 2. Nikkonen takes P4, the number 74 car, or the number 34 car, seeming to have dropped back a lot. Number 38 also dropping back substantially. Number 92 is up into 10th place already. We are having a big shuffle round in the order, and that's Jemiel, who's maybe touched the back of Mark Mask, gone a bit sideways. Hanivic is going to look for a little bit of a move coming up the mountain. There is so much chaos happening up and down the pack. But it is Gilroy who's currently last place. I think they might have had some sort of incident at the start that has put them about 6 seconds back from the rest of the drivers. Number 92 is looking for a move on Darkness and the number 724 BMW. Coming down the downhill section, though, it's going to be really difficult to make any sort of move because there is no space at all. All number 92 is going to have to hope for is that they get a really, really good exit out of the final corner, out of Forest Elbow, and just send it down the chase and see what they can do if they can get caught up to that BMW and to get past him. He's looking for a move up the inside on the exit. Darkness squeezes them the inside, leaving them very little room as they go running down the chase. The BMW having really, really good straight line speed with the exit of that Porsche. He looks like it's gone clear. He goes into the grass, almost collects Darkness. They're going to go side by side. There's more contact as they're coming through the corner. They're going to go into the braking zone now. Darkness looks to be covering them off, but number 92 still has the inside. There's a little bit of argy-bargy going on. Darkness goes off the road. Number 92 has maybe gained a bit of an advantage, and there is a big crash. There's a huge crash behind. Absolutely ginormous crash as Gilroy goes steering right through. He's up at a P11. He's overtaken Jemiol, Gossel, Hanivic, and Darkness, and has got himself up to P12. I want to see what has happened there because Hanivic is now in the pit lane. I think he has just called it a day there. Let's have a look, see what happened, see if this replay will actually break my ACC like it has done the last couple of times. Hopefully it won't, but it's very likely that it might. I forgot my Discord noises are still on, so I'll put myself on Do Not Disturb. My apologies. So we're having a look now. I just want to see what happened. So we're going to go into the other T-cam. Yeah, coming down the chase, everything looks to be fine. We're going to go into the helicam. Again, we see darkness, we see the other car going side by side. Yeah. And as darkness comes back on the road, oh! He collects Gemiol, who then hits Hanivic into the wall. Gilroy ultimately gains 4 positions from that one incident. And yeah, Hanivic just calls it a day there, says, I'm done with that. And he doesn't want anything else to do with that race. Gemiol's in the pit lane as well, but that's probably from damage. Gilroy passes Mass for position. I do want to check. Yeah, Darkness's livery is still there. He's passed Gossel for P13. Gilroy is up into P10 now. I think Mass might have made a little bit of a mistake. There is so much happening on the track. I just cannot keep up with any of it. Oh, speaking of that, remember what I said earlier about Forest Elbow being a very deadly corner if you get it wrong? Darkness is proving us right here. That BMW looks like it's been dragged through a hedge backwards. Let's just go on board the interior cam, see how much that car is crabbing. Yeah, you can see the angle that he's having to hold the wheel at to keep the car going in a straight line. Just the car is not looking right, and we're only 5 minutes into this race. There's still a long way to go. Maybe Darkness can hold it out for the rest of the race and see just how many more positions he can gain, but this already puts him in a really bad spot, because with one pit stop that is mandatory, they're now probably going to have to make 2 pit stops, because I don't think they can make a set of dry tyres last for 1 hour and 35 minutes. Yeah, Gemiol's made their pit stop. Darkness and Gossel also making their pit stop, so yes, it looks like there has actually been some damage for both of them. Yes, that is definitely a lot of damage. The hood of that McLaren is almost lifting up. There's still a big train behind the number 25 Big Brain Racing Porsche it's Regazzoni, Kelly, Nikkonen, Ericsson, and the number 92 Schumi Skins car. I don't know how to pronounce their last name, so I really do apologise. I'm going to say Cassingainer. Cassingainer, let's say that, because, you know, that seems about right. Nikkonen does not get a very good run through that. Again, I don't know the names of any of these corners except, like, Forest Elbow and Hell Corner, which for some reason is turn 1. I'd say turn 1 is the least hellish corner out of all of them. All the drivers get a really, really clean run out of Forest Elbow down to the chase now. Their engines go screaming. You can just see how close a lot of these drivers are. Nikkonen's holding 2 Porsches behind him. And with those gaps being incredibly small, Ericsson does pass... both Porsches are past Nikkonen. Which is incredible. It looks like Nikkonen maybe got a really bad run, or maybe he just let the 2 drivers through because he knew that they were faster. Nikkonen has fallen back now to P8. Oh, the number 92 looks for a move up the inside of the 912. Can he make this move stick? They're going side by side, and no, they do make that stick. Neo Ericsson tucks in behind Cassingainer. Going through Hell Corner now. The number 92 Porsche has set the fastest lap of the race with a 2-minute 2.9. They are absolutely flying out there, and they might be able to complete their last to first challenge at the current pace that they're exhibiting, but they've still got a lot of cars to work their way through now. I'm going to focus on Regazzoni and the Big Brain Racing Porsche, who's got Kelly right up his rear. This is going to be an incredible battle to see. How about we go on a helicam and see what it's like as all the drivers are working their way up the mountain now. It looks like Cassingainer is looking for a move on the outside of Kelly. Doesn't really get a good run. He's flashing that Ferrari. He's not very happy that he's not been given the room. He's not entitled to it, technically speaking, but he is going to be very frustrated because he can't really make a move around here unless he gets a really, really good run through one of the corners. He's going under the 7 News banner now. He's going to look to go too wide through the mountain section, thinks better of it, and he's just going to tuck in behind. Ericsson does go a little bit wide. This might give Nikkonen a little bit more encouragement to work their way through the grid. Now, don't be fooled by all the drivers who have already served their pit stops. They are going to have to stop again unless they can do some George Russell level tyre whispering, where they can, you know, really make their tyres last for as long as they need to last. Ericsson's looking up the inside. He pulls to the right-hand side of Kelly, who is flying down the chase. They're going to go side by side, and yeah, it looks like Kasangena backs out, looks to the inside. He's trying to spook Kelly into making a pretty big mistake, but he's not having it. He's not having any of it just yet. The gap behind them is very, very close. The two Shumiskins Porsches, whose liveries I unfortunately cannot see, but I'm sure that they would look absolutely glorious. Currently battling for position, it looks like. Ericsson has backed off a little bit to give Kasangena a little bit of room, a little bit of breathing space. Deploying the tactical smokescreen at turn 1 to try and throw the driver behind them off. With only 0.2 of a second behind between them and Kelly, they're going to look for a move into this next corner. They think better of it. They're really just making themselves known in that Ferrari's mirrors. And with Regazzoni with that 5-second penalty, I don't know if they can serve that in the pit stop or if that's going to stick to them with them till the end of the race. But they've got plenty of time to claw up that distance. And with the amount of drivers that are within 5 seconds, and this will drop them down to P9 at the moment. But again, we're only 10 minutes into a 1 hour, 40-minute endurance race, 100 minutes of Bathurst. It looks like number 92 is looking for a move on the inside of Kelly. Through the mountain section, Kelly clouts into the wall on the outside. It's going to give Kasangena a really good run through the mountain section, and they go right past that Ferrari, who's clouted that wall. He might have a bit of suspension damage from it, but number 92 is looking absolutely rapid. He's now quickly approaching the back of the number 25 Big Brain Racing car. Ericsson's also going to look for a bit of a move, and with the suspension damage that Kelly might have from hitting that wall, this might give Ericsson all the impetus that they need to go flying past the number 91 of Joel Kelly. Don't forget about all the other cars behind. Nikinen and Ely both, you know, hungry to get some really decent positions out of this. This will be an incredible race to watch. With how close a lot of these drivers are, it is incredible to see the amount of battling we've got up and down the grid. As we see Ericsson looking around the outside, doesn't actually make that move stick, but they are, again, doing just what Kasangena did and making themselves known in Kelly's mirrors, scaring them into a mistake, making them leave the space. At the moment, it's Kelly holding P6, Ericsson just behind with Nikinen and Ely P8 and P9 respectively. They're all within about half a second of each other. And if it all depends on who can get a really good run out of these 90-degree corners, because the straights are very, very long. And it does also somewhat matter about the car's performance, and it looks like Gossel has made... Have they gone up a position? I can't really tell. A lot of action happening up and down the track, with lots and lots of drivers very, very close to each other. Oh, and Kelly's got sideways. Kelly's in a big crash. There's a big crash. Ely gets caught up in it as well. Neither Nikinen or Kelly really hold their brakes. Ely being caught up in this huge crash. Ends up in the wall again, and that's Gossel who's now having to weave his way through. Masterfully done. Gilroy does just the same, it would seem. And that's Kelly and Ely that have both crashed out. I think Kelly had a little bit of a spin coming through the corner, ended up just unfortunately collecting some of the cars behind him. As now he's got Mass, who's now just letting through, knowing that his car is absolutely balked. As we can see, yeah, one of his lights on the rear is just gone completely off. Goswell now in the pit lane. Is that from damage, or is that out of choice? It looks like Kelly stopping on the downhill section. He's really struggling to get that car started again. And is Goswell in the pit lane from damage, or is he just deciding to stop racing and just leave it at that? So, apologies, everyone. It looks like Kasangena has actually made his way up to P2. didn't even notice how quickly he's worked his way up to the front. He's now got a clear 10-second gap to Userby, and if the cameras would actually pick it up, Ely's now lost position to Mass. Naikkonen did get caught up in that incident, was able to get recover quite quickly, but he has got a lot of damage on that Ferrari, so he is pitting, again, very early for damage. A lot of the way that you're going to make up some positions here is purely by just keeping the car out of the wall, keeping your nose clean, staying out of incidents. So as Naikkonen and Ely pull into the pit lane, Kelly trundling down that back straight, Mass has already worked his way from P10 to P7 purely by staying out of the incidents. Ericsson is just on the back of Ragazzoni, and it looks like his car might have a... Oh, no, it doesn't look like his car has a bit of damage. Ignore me. The two Porsches are going to duel on the mountain. And that is Clark, who has spun it and nearly goes into both Ragazzoni and Ericsson. I think he might have just lost it coming through the corner, spun the car onto the track. Was a bit of an unsafe rejoin, if I do say so myself. I'm not a steward, it'll go down to what the stewards say, but that is Ragazzoni up into the podium positions already, just 15 minutes into the race. Ericsson just 2/10 behind. Naikkonen jumps Ely in the pit lane, probably from having less damage than them, and yes, Naikkonen comes out the pit lane, says the mandatory stop, but unless they can make their tyres last for an hour and 25 minutes, they are going to have to pit again. Also, fuel. Completely forgot fuel was a thing. The drivers are going to have to refuel, probably. Ericsson goes right past number 92, and he's sliding. He lost the rear. Managed to keep it going, though. Fair play to him. Very good recovery there. But he gains the position and immediately loses it. I think maybe just putting the throttle down a little bit too early on the exit there, getting a bit too ahead of himself. He's still battling with Ragazzoni for the position. Another person who's battling for position is Gilroy in the Schumi Skins Ferrari, who is going to be battling his way past Clark, who did spin it earlier. His tyres might still be a little bit dirty. Clark defending the inside. Gilroy's going to look even further to the inside. Backs out of the move last minute, hoping to scare Clark into making a bit of a mistake on the exit. I'm keeping my eye on both of the battles that are happening up and down the grid now. Ericsson within about a 10th of Ragazzoni, but they are coming up the mountain section. Ragazzoni goes into the wall. That opens the door for Ericsson to just go right by. Thank you very much. He takes P3. Now Ragazzoni is going to really have to think about just keeping the car out of the wall now, with about a second between them, and with a 5-second penalty. They now just need to worry about keeping the car out of the wall, keeping everything nice and clean, making sure that everything is going to work perfectly fine. Gilroy's going to be chasing down Clark through this mountain section, trying to scare him into a mistake, and I will say the mistakes are very, very easy to make here. It's easy to run maybe a bit too much on the curb, or a bit too wide, or to brake in the incorrect point, take an incorrect line. You've really got to maximise all the space that you have on the track. Well, I say all the space. The very little space that you do have, you need to make sure you're using all of it. You need to not be scared of the walls. While they have claimed many a victim today, with Naikkonen, Ely, Goswell, Darkness, Kelly, all being victims to the wall. I'm not sure about Goswell. Gossel. Probably... can't believe I butchered someone's name and I actually know them. 5 penalty points to me for not being able to pronounce someone's name properly. Oh, Gilroy getting very, very close under the braking zone. Let's just see. I mean, the rear wing of that McLaren is really kind of obstructing our vision, providing plenty of downforce, but not providing a brilliant viewing experience. Gets a little bit squirrely on the exit. Gilroy is going to get closer and closer. He's edging closer to that McLaren. He's looking at the inside at turn 1. Is he going to make a move at turn 1 stick? It looks like he can. Clark has a bit of a wider line, so he's maybe able to carry a little bit more momentum. If we look on the helicam, yeah, Gilroy is just having a tuck back behind Clark. Back in the slipstream. Coming up to turn 2 now. Gilroy looks to the inside, backs out, knows that that is not a move worth doing. as we can see. Yeah, he's using all of the track, going a little bit past the curb, which you can do. You can do that. It widens out the corner a little bit more. Clark slides the car, goes into the wall, and squeezes Gilroy to the outside of the track. He's kept that position, but he might have a little bit of damage on the rear of that McLaren. Gilroy is all over the back of him now. He's really looking for that move. I'm going to go back to this wing cam because it's actually showing just how much Gilroy is closing that gap through a lot of these faster corners. A little bit of understeer, and Gilroy's all over the back of him. Coming down the mountain section now, we're going to go onto the bonnet of Gilroy. I forgot I also had my virtual mirror enabled, so when we're on the back straight, I am going to find a way to disable that, because I forget I had that on. Doesn't really get a good exit, which gives me the perfect time to disable my virtual mirror that I had on for another race. There we go. Now that's much less distracting. My apologies, audience. He's going up to the back of Clark now. He's going to look up the inside into this fast right-hand corner. Clark leaves the room. Gilroy's on the outside now. He's going to look for the move. More confidence under the braking, and Gilroy works his way up to P5. A magnificently made move after about a lap worth of struggling behind that McLaren. He's now worked his way into the top 5. And I think that is 3 Team Shumi Skins cars in the top 5. Kassingena is lowering that gap to Usaby. They're now just about 6 seconds behind. They're setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Their previous lap good enough for a 2:01.1, which was over a second quicker than Usaby's previous lap. We keep our eyes on the battle going on here. I wonder if Harry will be joining me at any point to run any commentary. He might be stewarding at the moment, so I'm not sure. Give me just a second. Oh, that is Clark, who has gone off. That is Clark off the course. He's recovered back on now, but that is not something that you want to be seeing, especially from a driver like that. Who is that they're approaching now? Is that Gossel just behind them? Yes, it is. It's Gossel. They're a lap back, and they are following Clark. They might want to try and unlap themselves. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to go back to the leader, Usaby. So, while we're on board with the leader and the race settles down a little bit, I can finally breathe. This gives us a perfect opportunity to do a little bit of promotion. Our title sponsor here at ACM is Uplay. If you're looking at getting involved in any of our races and our upcoming career mode, you may want to look at Uplay, who is our title sponsor, and I will argue one of the best places to get really reasonable prices on game keys. It really is very good if you're wanting to get into sim racing, especially on games at ACC. They always have really good deals on ACC itself and the DLCs. At the moment we are a PC only league, so if you do want to join you'll have to buy a Steam version or just a general PC version. I don't know if ACC is still on other platforms, but still, regardless, Uplay is the place to go. Feel free to click the link in the Twitch chat if there is one. I think it's !Uplay is the command. I can't remember. Again, it's been a while since I've done some streaming stuff. So let me see if this will work. Yeah, so discover Uplay, best place to get the best deals and hottest offers on all of your favourite games. And if you want to get involved with us here at ACM, get involved in the upcoming career mode, Uplay is a really good place to get started if you are looking to save a little bit of money, get the DLCs, get the game. get involved. There's also the upcoming career mode, which is a very, very exciting addition to the world of ACM. It's my first time. It's the first time that I know of a league doing anything like this. Build your own team, build your own performance. You want to try your see against other drivers just like you. Between in the months of October and November, I think we have about 50 races going on. In career mode, you start off with a certain amount of money, you buy a car, you race in that car, and by doing that, you then get more money for career mode, which you can then spend on other things. Pick a sponsor for yourself, make a team. There's lots and lots of features that are currently being worked on. And this season of career mode, running through October and November, will be the trial season, or season 0 of career mode. We're testing the waters, testing things out, seeing what people think, basically testing out to see how things are going to work, how people are going to react, and seeing what we can do, seeing what people like. So, if you want to join, the registration opens on October 1st, but if you want to get early access, you can subscribe to the ACM Patreon. Is there have you got a command set up for that in the chat? No, we don't, but we do have a Patreon linked somewhere. I'm not completely sure. At the moment, we've got the ACM Patreon is quite cheap. I think it's something like £1.99 a month. So that goes into supporting us, and it also gives you a few cool rewards as well. We're seeing a lot of penalties roll in from the stewarding team. I'll quickly run through. Car number 92 has a 10-second penalty. Ragazzoni still has a 5 seconds from the start. Neo Eriksson in the number 912 has a 10-second penalty. Mass has a 5-second penalty. And Darkness has 15 seconds. Hanovic also has a 20-second penalty, but they've been in the pit lane since lap 1, so it's unlikely they're going to continue on in this race. And joining me now in the commentary box is the man, the myth, the legend. It's Harry. Hello, Harry.
Evening. Hello, everyone. I was racing, and then I wasn't. But yeah, how's it been on comms?
Well, if people stopped crashing into the wall, I might have enough chance to look at the all the action that's been happening up and down the grid. The first 20 minutes or so were utter carnage, with the amount of cars that we saw very close to each other, lots of people collecting the wall, and I think as we transition further into the night, we're going to be seeing probably a lot more of that, because... or maybe even less, because with it being night, you're not going to be looking at the walls as much, and as I'd said earlier... my motorbike rule of when I was learning to ride a motorbike before I nearly broke both of my ankles was if you're looking, you will go where you look. So if you're worrying about the walls, you're going to be looking at the walls. And if you're looking at the walls, you're going to go into them.
Yeah, you've just sort of got to ignore them at Bathurst. You got to think of them as grass as it would be on a normal track. It's just a lot more painful if you hit them.
Yeah, indeed. Not only for the driver, but also for your bank account, especially in career mode, which is kind of why I asked Harry to hop in here to help promote career mode, because I only know the basics, and Harry can probably promote it a lot better than I can. I showed the trailer at the start of the stream. Yep. So, Harry, how about you educate the chat? What is career mode?
So, 40 races, or just over 40 races, over a 2-month span. The theory is you buy your car, you can repair it over time, you can make a team, transfer your cars to a team, transfer it back to your own garage. Basically, whatever race that you race in with a car that you own in career mode counts. And the more laps that you race, the more wear that your car will get. The more penalty points that you get, the more wear that your car will get. And the aim is to really build up your economy over time, you know, buy more cars, create a team, upgrade your team as much as you can, you know, get a team of 5 or so drivers, ideally by the end of it. And it's all just more sort of giving yourself a little bit more from your racing, you know, it's a little bit, it's something additional than the just on track stuff. You know, you can come out of a race and have a look at the ACM apps and see how you performed, and then buy a new car if you can get to it, or have an upgrade for your team, or hire a new driver, whatever it may be. It's just something that adds a little bit more to ACC, which I think is pretty cool.
I will completely agree with that. I think it's very much inspired by career modes from some of the more recent Codemasters games, like the F1 title or new EA Sports WRC, which I think has you also create a team and take a sponsor, use money to kind of get cars and upgrade them, and all that other spicy stuff. I think it's the first time I've ever seen an ACC league do anything like this. So I think it's a very, very interesting prospect, and I'm looking forward to see what ACM can do, because we're finally putting the CM out there, which is wild.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half.
Year and a half in the
Originally got
works.
the idea, and the original idea was for it to be a little bit different, where you have to start in like Ginettas and GT4s and M2s.
Sorry
and
to
then
interrupt you there,
slowly make
Harry.
your way up
Yuzubi's just
into
gone off.
GT3.
Yuzubi's spun it coming in at the chicane, and I don't even know. Casingena has gotten themselves up into P1, and Yuzubi has spun it at the chicane at the end of the chase.
How close were they before Yuzebi went off?
Basically side by side, but it looks like, to me, 92 made that move just fine. Yuzubi maybe went slightly off the track and ran their wheels into the grass, spun the car round. Not sure who was at fault, because it was very dark and I wasn't quite paying attention. But yeah, Yuzubi has fallen down now. They've got about 10-second gap. And now Casingena is just going to be putting in laps, like they have been doing for quite a long time. Again, their best lap, a 2:01.1, which is, I think, about a second quicker than the next fastest lap.
Yeah, very fast laps. I know Yuzebi was talking about. I was in that chat before. He was saying that he's trying to put on quali pace just to try and be somewhere close to his laps, but he was still gaining about a second a lap on him. So, yeah, mental pace from that team up front.
Yeah, definitely. With Shimmy Skins now coming into ACM, we're seeing a lot of these drivers with really, really high levels of talent. Some real pros that are working their way up through the grid. I don't think any of them did quali or did representative pace. I think all of them have worked their way from the back to the front. The only driver who's still at the back is Hanovic, who had an unfortunate incident in the first couple laps and has just decided to call it quits. But all the other drivers, in the form of Casingena and Gilroy, and I guess, Casingena and Gilroy worked their way up. Casingena currently leading, but with a 10-second penalty, and Gilroy in a very respectable P4, just keeping out of the wall. Neo Ericsson was challenging up there for a little bit, but they have been in the pit lane for quite a while. They might have been involved in a pretty substantial crash and might have a lot of damage to repair, but to me it doesn't look like they're actually repairing anything. They might have just gone into the pit lane and just called it a day.
Yeah. To be fair to them, they did make their way through the grid, but some would say it wasn't the safest from some of them, so that's why they've got the penalties on them.
How they've ended up with the penalties and all that. Casingena currently coming into the pit lane, and it looks like they haven't actually stopped in a pit box. They've just returned to garage. What is going on from some of these drivers? It looks like
They just said in chat that they're going. So
Ericsson's left. Are all of them leaving?
I guess they just wanted to prove a point, but yeah, they're gone.
I don't know what sort of point that proves, but well, I've just given Yuzubi first place back. Gilroy is still running, and Hanovic is still sitting in the pit lane. So the only Shumi Skins driver to still be continuing is the only one who hasn't picked up a penalty thus far. It's currently Gilroy, who's in P3, just 5.7 seconds off of Ragazzoni. Yuzubi is now in the lead again, currently with about a 27-second gap. There isn't a lot of action happening on the track right now, unfortunately. A lot of drivers in the pit lane. Mass has now come out of the pit lane, probably pitting quite early from damage. And the only thing I know about the Ferrari, you can actually make it for about an hour and 7 minutes on one stop if you fill up the car fully and you're really, really nice to your tyres. you can make the car last that entire way without stopping. So a lot of the stops that are made now, these are going to be drivers who have either maybe gotten some damage and think that they can maybe get away with just doing one stop really, really early, trying to undercut the rest of the grid, or maybe they're just thinking they'll have to stop twice because tyre wear might be a really big factor with how hard you have to push the car through the mountain section. It is going to be a very, very difficult task to see what the drivers can do and are capable of around such a challenging track around and in incredibly dark conditions. That's making it very hard for me to see all these really cool liveries.
Yeah, I actually set up the server wrong. It's supposed to be a practice on Saturday, so that the race started at 7 p.m. So we got darker a lot faster than it was originally meant to be. But yeah.
Well, I think this just spices up the race a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to commentate on the colour of the cars, but you know what? That's racing in it. So, Yuzubi has now opened up that gap a lot more to Regazzoni, who is not setting laps that are as quick as Yuzubi. Gap now sitting around 30 seconds. Yuzubi's last lap was nearly 2 seconds faster than Regazzoni's last one. Gilroy's last lap was about a second quicker than Regazzoni, so he's going to be catching up relatively fast. Massa's going to work their way up to P7 as Casingena has now still in the garage. Massa's just going to fly right past them. Up at P7 for them. Ely in the Lexus. Now, is this a new thing that with Ely driving the Lexus, or have they been paid by someone like Braga to promote the Lexus Elite?
So this is actually part of career mode. So Ben actually made a mistake. He bought a McLaren, and obviously when you buy a car, it depreciates in value immediately after you buy it. And he sold it immediately after buying and lost its value, and then couldn't buy the car that he wanted. So he ended up buying the Lexus, and he's using tonight's races practice for the Lexus.
I mean, fair play to him. That is the ultimate thing of career mode. You do have to make these choices carefully, because it's not like you can press the undo button, because that car is going to start losing its value. One would assume it might start gaining value if you win races, but maybe that's not a feature that's been added just yet, or that's not something that's realistic. I'm not sure.
Well, the car itself might not gain value, but yourself as a driver will.
Fair enough. So in other
Obviously,
words,
as a team owner,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Right, yeah.
As a team owner, obviously you're going to want to employ the drivers that will get you the wins. So, obviously, the more wins that you have to your name, the higher chance you're going to get picked up into a team that's got a lot of cars for you to use. Because, as part of a team, you'll get access to the team's garage, and that's the part of being in the team, really.
Yeah, a driver like Yuzubi would probably be worth 10 mil, and a driver like me would probably be worth about 20p, a Fredo and a handshake. Because you've got a lot of drivers with a lot of varying levels of skill, and you've kind of got to make a call of like, will these faster drivers want to make their own team, or would they want to join another team? I don't know. It's a very interesting dynamic that I think we're going to see between a lot of these drivers. And we might even see some really, really cool liveries get made for lots of different cars. I know I've been working on some older liveries that my team had made, making them into my own versions, because I know a lot of people who are in my racing team are very busy with school work and actual work and other things like that at the moment, so they don't really have the time to be working on liveries, and I'm still not back at uni yet, so I was like, you know what, I've got a couple hours to burn, so I'd made a couple versions of liveries for myself and my team, which might become more of a thing if I do end up making the team in career mode. Ultimately, it's not my decision to put my racing team kind of out there, whether that's official or unofficial. That comes down to my racing team's boss, who, again, they're quite busy with a lot of things. So, again, it's all up in the air at the moment, and we're not really sure what to do. But yeah, it looks like all the other Team Shumi Skins drivers have quit the race. The one man that is still running is Gilroy, who has basically said he's just using this as practice for a 12-hour race at Bathurst that he's got. I don't know when. I don't know when the 12 hours of Bathurst is, but whenever that is, I wish him luck, because this was a track that I found really difficult to even drive for an hour. So being able to drive it for 12 hours, that is an immense achievement. Kelly is in the pit lane. How long have they been in the pit lane for? It seems like it's been quite a long time.
Yeah, well, he's actually a blue flag for me, so, you know.
Well, he's only done 6 laps, so either he's had some horrendous damage and is still repairing it, or he has just called it a day.
Yeah, I think he might have called it a day, because he did have a contact up in the hill. I don't know if that was caught on stream, but
It was.
that was pretty much a race ender for him.
Yeah, it very much was. He just he went sideways into the wall and then got collected, I think, by Nikinen and Ely, and I think also Gossel got caught up in that as well. So there was like a really, really big collision. Again, Bathurst, one of those tracks where you don't have a small incident. Every single time you crash, it's going to be, pretty bad. Darkness pulls into the pit lane. I don't know if that is with damage or something else. Yeah, looks like it is with damage. The hood is popped up at the moment, so he's pulling into his pit box, slowing himself down and letting himself get that damage repaired. Again, the biggest thing with this race, like I said back at the start, is being able to just survive and just keeping the car out of the wall, not getting any penalties, and just surviving till the end, because ultimately you're going to gain positions. That's how Gilroy's up into P3, Mass up into P7. Other cars have crashed, other cars have left the race because of other reasons. It's all about just having that perseverance and just shrugging off anything that might happen. Looks to the inside of the BBR Porsche. Absolutely sent it up the inside of the last corner. Gilroy works his way up to second place. Very smoothly done from the British driver in the number 34 Shumi Skins Ferrari. Still working his way up the grid. And now, he in the last hour of this race, he has his eyes set on I set on P1 with a 38-second gap and laps that are similar to Eusebi's. Gilroy's going to have to push very hard if he wants to get P1, but even finishing second place would be incredible. There's still a chance that that Eusebi could make a mistake. It is a very tricky track. We've seen real-life races here where the leader's maybe got a little bit too comfortable and has had some contact with the walls. Even a simple blue flag incident could cause them to lose a lot of time and potentially some positions if they get caught up in any lapped cars that maybe crash in front of them, or if they're having to slow down and avoid an incident. It's going to be an interesting dynamic that we're going to be seeing here.
Well, Gossels had a spin at the start of Sector 2.
They have. They're 90 degrees on the track, parked perpendicular. They're going to try and get past them. Yeah, they've just been lapped by Ragazzoni and Gilroy. He's now going to try and recover that car. That white flag is waving. And Darkness has also had an off at the chicane. Let's try and pull the replay and see what happened to him. Yeah, for some reason this makes my game absolutely freak out. Yeah, just loses the car coming through the chicane, clouts straight into that wall. I think maybe he's getting on the throttle just a little bit early, and unable to make that work. He's very, very. Well, is he slow? I can't really tell, to be honest. But used to be flashing his lights at Darkness, who leaves the room. Used to be still in P1. Gap around 38 seconds still. So if Usb can keep up this pace for another hour or so, they should be able to maintain P1 if they can just keep it out of the wall, keep the mistakes at a minimum, keep the pace consistent. The driver waving. There's a flag being waved there, but I can't exactly tell what it was for. It might be the meatball for a driver. Can't. It's not actually letting me pick the driver from the list for some reason. Okay, my ACC race control is freaking out at the moment, so allow me a moment while I try and figure this out. I'm going to restart ACC race control and see if that fixes anything. Yeah, so my ACC race control is now no longer working for some reason, and I am confused. You have to give me just a moment because I'm still trying to figure out why it is suddenly not working.
What's happening with it?
So I keep trying to connect, and it keeps telling me that connection timed out. Game client stopped sending data. Like it's just not even connecting, and I know that the connection settings are right. I hit
you have to restart that.
Restart race control
ACC.
or restart. Oh. Okay. Well. Now the race is quieted down a little bit anyway. So tell you what, we'll go into. We will be back in just a moment while I try and fix this. So you'll have to just excuse me for a moment, guys. The stream will keep running, and I will get you guys back on the racing action as soon as possible.
Here we go.
There we go.
We're off.
Lights out. Half an hour of racing underway.